Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Colorado Sports Connection. My name is Matt Staffier. I'm going to be one of your hosts today with my good buddy David Slade. We are so excited to have you guys coming in with us today. We've got so much exciting Broncos news to break down, some Colorado Sports Connection news to break down, but most importantly, for all of those viewers, all those dedicated followers, the newbies, we are finally out on YouTube. So please go and check out our channel at Colorado Sports Connection. Give us that like, subscribe, and share. And we're going to be grateful that you're there and we're able to provide this great content with you. Mr. Slade, how are you?
I am doing outstanding on this Friday morning. Boy, it's a little chilly fall day here in Colorado.
Yeah, man, it came out of nowhere. I mean, like, we kind of knew it. We felt the wind blowing in the cold front all week out here in the Front Range, but like, man, I wasn't ready for it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just going to be a one-day event. Tomorrow back into the 70s. Going to be, I think, about 73 on Sunday for the game. So that'll be a nice day for some football. So how you doing today?
It's gonna be all right. I mean, it's going. I'm having a pretty good day. I mean, it's my Saturday, I should say. I'm going to work today, which is lovely, and why I'm able to hang out with you and the rest of Broncos country. I think I'm still, like I said, I'm still just adjusting to the cold. I just woke up in a fog this morning. I was like, my fingers are cold, the toes are cold. Man, I'm not ready for no snow. I'm
Right.
not.
I'm not either. I'm not either. I'm getting to the point where I don't like the snow, and maybe one day we'll move south. Who knows?
Oh,
So
maybe buy a nice retirement house right there on the, what is it? Maybe Miami. No, I want to go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, bro. I went there this spring. It's gorgeous out there.
all right, we already have Jody Moncrief piping in with a 42-14 big win. Every week he has the Broncos scoring 42 points. He's really hoping that we're going to get there one day. So, but we'll talk predictions later on in the show. So, but I just wanted to give Jody a little shout out. Jody's over a follower of ours, goes back clear back to the 4th and 99 days. So,
Yeah,
but
we go way back with Jody. Way, way,
yeah,
way back.
we have some battles with him. So
We don't always see eye to eye. But hey, that's what it is. We're not here to always agree. If we always agreed with everybody we talked to,
it would be
we'd have a
boring.
boring. We'd have
Yeah,
the
it'd be
worst life.
boring. So all
Just
right.
if you ever want exciting shows, just go back and look at Matt Staffiero / Drew Lock on YouTube or Google, and you'll be having a blast.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you and I definitely had some battles over that one.
Oh yeah.
So hey, let's jump into this. We're going to sort of change up our format a little bit here. We're going to make it not just a Broncos game preview show. We're going to make it, hey, we're going to give you some news. We're going to give you, some other topics, and then we will preview the game. But first thing is roster moves, trades, and rumors. I got to ask you a question. So
Yeah.
Randy Gregory's on the move. We know that.
Yep.
So did the Broncos do this wrong by coming out and saying, "Oh, we're releasing this guy"? Oh, wait, hold on, we're going to trade him. Do you think they did it a
Well,
little backwards?
I think the media got it a little bit backwards. I think someone maybe got a little whisper from one of their birdies and they said, hey, they're moving him. And they jumped the gun and said, oh, man, they're just going to cut this dude out. Right. And then Sean Payton has to come in and clean it up and this and that. I think that is more likely what happened. There's multiple reports that this was a mutual thing. There was some reports saying Randy Gregory came and asked for a release. They're saying that Sean Payton said we need to get this done. But either way, it's a mutual separation, regardless of whom you want to believe or what source you're coming from. It's kind of been a weird one. It seems like there's just a bunch of different media members maybe putting their 2 cents in a little too early. But one thing we do know is he's still here. He's not been on the waiver yet. He's not been on the wire yet. So there's got to be conversations happening. There's got to be.
I would expect it, today or tomorrow. I mean, Sean Payton gave a 24 to 48 hour timeline. So we'll see. But if something is in the works, then yeah, they may delay it a little bit longer and he'll just be a healthy scratch for the game. Is this another failure by George Payton?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Not
Gregory's played in 10 games since he's come here. He's had 3 sacks.
Yep.
Uh,
And and I'm trying to remember what the dollar total was. Do you have that dollar total? I know it. I heard two numbers. One was, I mean, he's gotten $28 million guaranteed,
28 million.
and then with game
So
checks, it was a little over 30, I believe.
right. So you're talking about almost $10 million a sack. And that's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess the red flag for Peyton should have been that the guy missed more games than he played with the Dallas Cowboys, either due to injury or suspension. So I agree. And we're going to talk about George Payton later in our hot seat
Yeah.
topic. But I think this was a horrible signing,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I
Um,
believe that when he was signed, you and I actually talked about it, and we were concerned. I think, I mean, unfortunately, with how the Chandler Jones situation has kind of unfolded, I think we were kind of upset that they didn't go that direction. I mean, either way, it looks like neither situation has really come to the fruition that the Raiders or the Broncos had hoped for their big signing in terms of edge rusher. I think the part that confuses me the most is that if you were willing to pay a guy who's not been consistent, has had some character issues, had some legal issues, had the health issues, and you still had a guy like Vaughn out there kind of even advocating, kind of putting it out there that, hey, I'm still open to this. Yeah, it might have been a little bit more, but I
yeah,
mean, it just is a big swing, a big miss. And once again, it's goes back to what we kind of highlighted the week before and what we've been highlighting, I think, ever since you and I have started this shows, any of our shows together. We're stuck in this. We got to restock, reload, 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 and we just keep adding bad contracts on top of bad
right.
contracts. Last week, I
So,
asked you who was the last big name free agent you remember signing that panned out. It goes all the way back to 2013.
right. Yeah, it does. So we've had some serious hit and misses on free agent signings. Um, Jody came in and clarified 9.33 a sack. So that's $9.3 million a sack. So, um, and then Graham, who's in the background for us, he's our producer. He has reminded us this is a $16 million dead cap hit here with Gregory as well. So
Yeah, the
maybe
official
the
cap numbers, yeah, are kind of weird. So it's 16.1 this year in dead cap. I believe next year it saves them technically 9.8 million, but there is also a slight dead cap hit. Graham, if you could grab the dead cap for next year, that'd be appreciated. So it does save some money. Now the question becomes if we're looking at this in terms of a trade. Graham's coming in with 6.3 for dead cap. So essentially, it's not really saving a ton of money by letting him go.
no,
Um,
not really, but it is some money. I mean, like you said, we're negative 30
Yeah,
million
spot
last year,
track.
so every little bit helps. So
So I guess the part becomes what's more valuable, that the little bit of cap relief you're getting next year or another viable asset.
right. Let's move on from Gregory. Let's talk Jerry Judy. So Jerry Judy, being the child that he is,
Oh goodness, here we go.
has gone out and started following all the Carolina Panther players on IG. Um, is Jerry signaling to the Broncos, this is where I want to go? And is Jerry's antics getting old? Is it just time to move on from this guy who is nothing but pro? He just got into it with, one of the greatest receivers in Broncos history, Rod Smith, and he gets into it with Philip Lindsay on Twitter. It's like this guy's just a loose cannon. He's always throwing little weird, emojis out there, on social media, just trying to spark some kind of controversy and everything else. Is it time to go?
I think when we do our self reflection and everything we do, regardless whether you're a professional NFL player or a teacher, or regardless of what your profession is, everything is results based, right? I just find it difficult, especially like with the stuff you highlighted last week. Yeah, you came out and you beat the Chicago Bears. Let me repeat that. You beat the Chicago Bears, who were deemed the worst football team in the NFL, according to literally every power rankings you looked at. There's constant questions. Their brand new coach is already on the hot seat again. I mean, and then you get into it because you won one game. Stack your wins. One game means nothing in this league. And you're
No,
out
it
here.
doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. You don't like when people throw dirt on your name, but the best way to shed that dirt off, stand up, shake it off, and prove it on the field. And while Jerry Judy, um, you know, he has tons of potential, but it's just not been utilized. He's not been able to capitalize it. Broncos haven't found a way to utilize it correctly. I mean, I just think at this point, if you have a team that's willing to give you close to the value that you're looking at, um, you got to make the move. I think it just makes sense. I mean, we're going to talk. I think there's another receiver we could talk about here in a sec that's probably also going to be getting, maybe some offers called in around on him. And Denver's going to have a plenty to evaluate in terms of if this is something they actually want to move forward with. Speaking of Jerry Judy, there was a great article that I had read suggesting that Jerry Judy is the most realistic trade option for Carolina. It pairs up while Bryce Young and Jerry never played together. They have some chemistry just based off of, historical stuff. And there's also a disgruntled player there in Carolina who's made it aware he wants out.
Yeah.
And that's
And maybe
Brian Burns.
that is maybe somebody that you look at bringing in and making part of a Jerry Judy trade.
Yeah, I would.
And
He would get.
that's what I was going to ask you is what would you expect in return for Jerry Judy? What could you realistically get is what I'm saying based on his career and his performance.
I mean, we just saw Chase Claypool. I mean, who we could argue has been similar in production. I'd have to put the stats, side by side, but I would feel that the production is relatively similar in the short stints they've had. We just saw him practically get traded for a 6th-round pick swap. I mean, chump change. Jerry Judy should command more than that, but I mean, Claypool commanded a 2nd-round pick last year, so it's really trying to determine how desperate is Carolina. Carolina also just gave up a plethora of picks to move up to get to, the number 1 pick to get Bryce Young. So how much draft assets are they really willing to part with? They're, Jordan Schultz is saying they're completely adamant that they can move on. They want to get this guy at number 1. They firmly believe in Bryce Young. Jerry Judy fits the quality of what should be a number 1 based off of his draft selection. I would think he'd pound the table for it too. But if they say, you know what, we'll give you Brian Burns, you take his money, we take Jerry, I'm calling that a wash. Take it. I would give up. So I would give, Jerry in a 6 for Brian Burns. The dude's a dominant player. We have no pass rush. Let's be honest.
Okay.
We're relying on John Cooper and Nick Bonito, both developmental players.
And Jody Moncrief is coming in saying he's seen reports of a 2 and a 4, but I'm not sure you get that for Jerry Judy.
Maybe a 2. That would be the most ideal situation.
Right. So, but I mean, it's just another blown draft pick, So, Frank comes in and says hello. So everybody, if you're up in northern Colorado, stop by Frank's shop up in Loveland, Colorado's Frank's Barbecue Trading Post. If you want your Willow seasoning and blends products, that's where to pick them up at there. So, all right, let's move on from roster moves, trades, and rumors, and let's.
What about Courtland Sutton?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot all about him. Courtland.
Okay, so
go ahead, Matt.
I'll take the reins here real quick. We already know that the value for Courtland Sutton's not going to be anywhere near close to what the value for Jerry Judy would be if they are truly looking at moving one of these guys. We're looking at a 4th round probably as your ceiling, and that might be pushing it. However, if you trade Courtland, you free up a lot more money next year.
Yeah, definitely.
So once again, we just need to really figure out what the identity, where is this going? Is this sustainable? Can the Broncos turn this around to get into that? Like, let's be real. We're not expecting playoffs. We're not expecting a Super Bowl. But can the Broncos flip from what is a potential 0-4 team to a 6 or 7 win team, and they get stuck in the middle?
Right.
If they do, determine identity. If they lose this weekend, you got to sell, and you sell big.
Yep, and that will be our next topic. So just want to say what's up to Kurt Valente with K&K Sports out of New York. Hey, you guys check him out. Kurt is a huge Broncos fan. Matt and I disagree with him on several topics, but hey, that's what sports talk is about. Everybody having their own opinion, even if some people's are wrong. So
yeah.
So, all right, Matt. If we lose, if we lose this game, and we'll talk about the game here in a little bit, is it rebuild or reload time? Which approach do you take, Matt, if you're the GM? Do you rebuild this or do you reload it?
I'm going to give you a two-part answer that's going to carry me into our next segment as well.
Okay.
I don't feel that this roster has enough talent overall to be a contender. If we look at what we've had so far, it's a very short and small sample size. We have 4 games, right? But we've struggled against all of them. There's been major issues in all 4 games, regardless, most recently the Bears. I mean, we were down 21-7 at halftime to the worst football team in the NFL.
Yeah,
We came
down
back.
28-7 at one point.
Yeah, we come back, we win it. But at the same time, if Matt Eberflus decides to kick a field goal instead of going for the bonehead decision of going for it on 4th down, for a chip shot field goal, we may be talking about a completely different outcome just based off of that individual decision right there. So it's hard to say that we could feel confident in what this team really is moving forward. The defense is significantly regressed. Yes, coaching plays a factor. The offense, while Russell Wilson has been efficient, the remainder of the team has been relatively inconsistent. I mean, we looked at it breaking down by quarter and then by half. The QBR for us significantly fluctuates between the two. There's been no chemistry, no fluidity.
Okay, I got to interrupt you for a minute, Matt. I got to throw this comment up here because this is really rebuild, reload, never rebuild. That's for losing franchises. Just listened and watched TD, Rod Smith, and Schlereth said, losing franchises do that. What have we been for the last 7 years?
And
we're a losing franchise, Kurt.
And the key word right there in the very beginning is reload. We've been stuck in a revamp mindset since Vance Joseph was the head coach the first time. We've never truly said, hey, let's tear this down. And like I said, I'll ask all of the followers, all of the people listening, go back to it. Look at it. When is the last time a major free agent signing has panned out? We keep wanting to reload via free agency, take these swings on some draft picks that are supposed to be adding, but we've missed and we've missed and we've missed. John Elway was one of the worst drafting GMs in NFL history. Go back and look at the stats. It is horrific. What is the player turnover rate for the Denver Broncos while John was drafting? Unfortunately, we've not been able to secure enough depth around this roster, enough talent on this roster to be a contender, I believe. Russ was just another chair. It's just always putting that Band-Aid on a gaping hole. And while Russ has looked better, I'll give him that. He's looked significantly better than what we had last year. It's just to the point where I don't think Russ can bring the rest of this team out of the hole.
And I don't think so either. I don't think Russ is that type of guy. I don't think he's that type of leader. I don't think he's the kind of guy that puts a team on his back,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And there's another really good kind of exercise that I did with someone that I was chatting with. And you know what? Elway did win a Super Bowl, and he followed a method. And this method has worked. It has worked for short-term windows. See, they built a team on young, cheap rookie deals or cheap quarterback deals. Go back to Manning and all the way back to 2013. We built the team around a Kyle Orton and a Tim Tebow, very cheap, expendable contracts. We built around that. We got the team pretty much ready. We kept the cap low. We went all in with Manning and was able to target that in free agency. The next one you want to look at, Tom Brady and the Bucs. What happened? The Bucs built the roster first, then went and got the quarterback. Look at the Rams. They built the roster first, went and got the quarterback.
Right.
The
problem we're doing it backwards.
The problem is we built the team. That's what their mindset was. That's what John Elway and George Paton's conversation was.
Jody, I don't think anybody said Caleb Williams put a team on his back. The guy's playing in college right now. You can't even judge him right now.
Yeah, and regardless of that, I mean, we try to follow that same model again. I mean, we've continuously been trying to do that, and when we went out and they got Russ, they said, "All right, this team is here. It's close," and it was. I will completely agree. Last year we were in a better position, I think, talent-wise. I think we had a better chemistry. I think things were going better on a talent wise. But from here to there, injuries, inconsistencies, bad signings again. I mean, DJ Jones has not shown up to do anything. Zach Allen has looked lost the majority of this season. I mean, we just look at it that we continue to go do it. And we did that. You do whatever you can do. You went and got Russ. But at the same time, it's never a bad idea to just say, hey, it didn't work. We got to tear this down and start over.
Let's talk about this right here. Okay. Whenever you get an elite QB, you get him. Had opportunity to get Russ. Now build around him. There's a couple problems here. Okay. Russ does not have a team-friendly deal. Russ has a huge cap hit that is not allowing us to build around him. Now, Matt, what do you think is the most important measurement of a quarterback? Stat-wise, would you say maybe the QBR? Everybody wants to throw out here all these stats about Russ and, he's top 10 in this and top 5 in this. And QBR, he's 18 out of 32 quarterbacks. That's middle of the road, guys. QBR takes everything into account. It just doesn't look at stats and say, oh, yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback because he's thrown 9 touchdowns. Well, it looks at every single play he's on. His QBR is like 53. It's middle of the road. He is not that good. He's an average quarterback, that's getting some good stat numbers, but they're not equating to wins and things like that. And we don't get the plays when we need them. You've brought this up before, Matt. It's the inconsistency that we get.
And it's not only Russell's fault. I'm not going to pin this all on Russ.
No, I'm not either, but I just want to clear up.
Yeah, and I think
if you look at the QBR, he's not an elite quarterback.
And I think like I said, he's done better this season. We've seen improvements, and that's great. And Kurt is right to a sense when you're following that model that we highlighted with the Stafford, the Brady, the Manning.
But we didn't have the roster to do that.
Well, the problem is they thought they did.
That's right, they thought. That's the issue.
And now it's kind of come to fruition that the roster didn't support it, and it could still turn around. Like nothing is a closed door. I think it's unlikely, but nothing is a closed door. I mean, we don't know where this is truly going, but if this continues on this path, you're right. The hard part is you want to build around Russ. Let's say that we can't get over the hump. The defense doesn't get better. The offense still has some of these inconsistencies as a unit, not individually. That you're still stuck in this top 5, top 10, top 3. Let's say we can't overcome the hump. The problem becomes you're looking at you're staring negative 30 in the red, dead in the face already. You have holes, or you have significant holes. What are we going to do? Restructure other players who are underperforming? Let's restructure Bowles again, and even though he's underperforming. Let's restructure Cortland Sutton, even though he's underperforming, to cut money. We're not improving the team. Those are just deals to get us back into the green. If you cut all of those players, you cut Bowles, you cut Sutton, you cut DJ Jones, you cut whomever else to get out of it. Yeah, maybe you create yourself $30 million, take 10 away for your drafts, your drafts class of next year. You're looking at $20 million. There's not going to be much you're going to be able to do to really improve. So not only are you creating more holes to get into the green or restructuring bad contracts for mediocre players, you're still not improving the team. That's the kind of problem we're at right now. And everybody Joe Burrow got paid. Well, Justin Herbert got paid. Well, what did all 3 of those teams do? Josh Allen got paid. What did they
built
do?
Around those
they
guys
built
first.
it first
before they got that big contract.
Deals. Yeah, yes. They established the team before the rookie deal expired.
Right.
That's what happened. And you know what? None of us play out to a Super Bowl, but think about there's one Super Bowl every year. It's not like it's something that's just willy-nilly given away.
And Burrow took the Bengals to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen's been close. Yeah, Herbert. I'm used to saying Bear because of the that used to play for the Saints. I just lost my train of thought because of the next comment.
Yeah, this one I already know, and I'll address this. It's a blind swing. It truly is. You don't know what you get because there is going to be Baker Mayfields, there's going to be Daniel Jones, there is going to be Zach Wilsons, there's going to be Sam Darnolds. There's going to be them, but the thought process around going young, if this is the route they decide to go, is it's not about what you're going to do for immediate success, but what you can do over longevity. And that's the risk they take. Going after the next best veteran usually means that they're either, like we said, there's something that the team has dealt that determined that they're no longer a value to the current team they're on, or you get a Brady situation, you get a Manning situation where it's kind of a fluky situation. I mean, either way, there's risk with both ways involved. But either way, you look at it, we may get that opportunity. What if this is the domino effect of where we go through this, we swing, we miss on a quarterback, Drake May, we take him, he's not the right guy, but we've established a solid roster over 3 years, and then we go get, who knows, Justin Herbert when he's out of his deal. And then next thing you know, bam, you're a Super Bowl playoff team, you're whatever. We don't know. The thing about it is right now the roster doesn't match the quarterback doesn't match the roster, the contract's not friendly for anybody, and it's not even just Russ's contract. There's a lot of bad contracts on this team. A lot of bad contracts on this team. I mean, DJ Jones, Cortland Sutton, Garrett Bowles, all of those. Oh, it looks like I lost somebody for a second. Anyways, we'll come through here. Oh, we'll just knock some comments off. You take Russ 100 times out of 100 times over those guys. Yeah, absolutely, Kurt. I agree. You take them. You always take Russell Wilson when you get the opportunity. But that just because you took him doesn't mean it's going to guarantee you success. And right now, we've been inconsistent. We've been a bad football team. And it's not even just Russ's fault. The problem is you factor in bad contracts. You factor in Russ's contract. We've set ourselves up to fail, and that's going to lead us into our next segment once Dave gets back to talk about who's on the hot seat and is George Paton a prime candidate for that. I mean, we evaluate those deals and how much they've set this team behind. We evaluate the poor free agent classes. I mean, even with some of these drafts, I mean, part of the issue with going to get Russell Wilson was the lack of draft capital this year. We haven't been able to really go out and say, hey, we have someone who can make a difference on this roster. Marvin Mims looks like he's got a chance, but then you come out and hear that he struggles with running the route tree. But you got to find a way to utilize him. He's a weapon. He's one of the most explosive players. Yeah, I get, and going back because I'm here by my lonesome, I'll go over Kurt's comment. It says, no, you have a franchise quarterback, build around him. That's what Sean Payton's job now. He knows how to build a championship team. He can, and absolutely, I don't disagree with you, if it was feasible. But the problem is, with all of these bad contracts, you're creating more holes to get out of the red in general, or you're just restructuring mediocre talent that's already here that's underperforming. Like, do we really want to restructure Garrett Bowles again and trying to see if we can salvage him at this point of his career? Is Cortland Sutton worth the restructure and continuing this on, or is it worth cutting it and starting over? It's just difficult because, go look at, once again, you cut DJ Jones. Now you have a giant hole. Mike Purcell's expiring. There's another hole you have to fill. Justin Simmons has a big contract that he's been inconsistent, unfortunately, because of health issues. There's a hole. You got, Kareem Jackson's walking away. Caden Stearns can't stay healthy. PJ Locke can't stay healthy. There is holes everywhere you look. And that becomes the problem. There's only even though you have the richest owners in the world, yeah, that's great when you can get guys to sign the huge signing bonuses and this and that. But the problem is, if you don't have the assets to get there, or you're making more holes to get there first, you're just setting yourself up for failure. This was a 2-year window for this to explode, and it didn't explode. So if this does not explode from here to there, and you have a top 3 pick, you have to find a way to move forward. It's unfortunate. It sucks. It really stinks for all of us here in Broncos country, but there's no other option at that point.
No, I agree. So sorry about that, everyone. I had to jump out for a minute. Too much coffee. So
no, you're good. Real quick, and then this is another comment. He is building around the offense. Rush, Javonte, McLaughlin, Mims, Judy needs his tight end. Needs to redo the defense. Sean will get this done. Those guys are great, but let's be honest. Javonte, he's right now. He might just got re-injured, messed up a hip flexor. It's going to be a minor, but We don't know if he's ever going to truly be back to the form he was pre-injury. Mims has been great in short burst explosion, but it's very limited. Jerry Jeudy, I can't say that is a building block for this offense because there's a likelihood he may not even be on this roster in 2 weeks.
Right.
We don't know.
McLaughlin, the thing that concerns me about him is his size. The
Yeah,
guy's
he's not.
5'7", 170 pounds.
Yeah, while he's
He can't.
explosive, it's just not
Right.
sustainable
Yeah.
explosion. It's just not.
Right. And I agree. How much of a pounding can that body take? I mean,
Yeah, he's going to be great in short experiences. I mean, yeah, him
right.
and Javante, if both kids stay healthy, it's a great
Right.
pairing. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that. That's great. That
I
is,
think there's a lot more. I think the offensive line needs some help. This team is not just a player or two away. And for people to have that false hope after we beat a horrible Bears team, that had us on the ropes. And if, like you said earlier, if it wasn't for their boneheaded coach, we probably wouldn't have won that. So
no, and there's nothing wrong with these guys. I'm not saying that no one likes them. They're not up to par. But what I'm saying is that these guys right now they're unproven. It's going to take time. And the problem you have when you have a quarterback like Russ, Breeze, whoever you put in any big name quarterback you want with these big money deals, and there's these short term Super Bowl windows.
I just don't know.
You need those explosive players
Right.
to be paired with them now, and it needs to be consistent.
And I just don't know if Russell Wilson fits Sean Payton's offensive style.
Yeah, and this is
Sean Payton has always been probably about 62% pass, 38% run. That's been his mixture on average throughout his career. Russell Wilson's been more of a 50-50 guy. He needs that play action, that running game, and that play action to work for him. And I don't think Sean Payton is committed to doing that. So,
yeah, and and I think people get caught up in this thing and they get defensive of Russell Wilson. This is not a Russell Wilson problem. This is more of a Broncos problem than anything. This is nothing again. Russell Wilson, he's going to be on our next segment for hot seat, and I'm going to have a different spin to why I talk about his hot seat.
And nice segue, Matt. We're going into the hot seat. All right. First person I'm going to ask you on the hot seat, Matt. All right. George Payton.
Absolutely. It's on fire. That thing's scorching hot.
All right. So that's probably 10 out of 10 on his hot seat. Do you think that this move to get Randy Gregory off this roster is Sean Payton showing that I'm running the show now?
I think the moment Sean Payton walked in the building, everybody knew Sean Payton was running the show, including George. I don't think there's been any questions of that. I think George's seat has been on fire since the moment the Sean Payton hire was there. And I think they were trying to be cordial, see what it's going to look like. And maybe his seat is a little cooler than I'm anticipating it is. Maybe it's not to the extent, but I think at this point you have to. He's been terrible at evaluating free agent talent. Terrible.
So Kenny comes in. Kenny, another one from K&K Sports out in New York. He comes in. Hey, fellas, great show. My take, that horrible Bears team dominated the Commanders last night. And I believe momentum and Broncos, in my opinion, will be 2-3 after this week. Matt and I will give our picks here in a little bit. The Bears, looked good last night. And they may be trending in the right direction, but
did the Broncos give them the key to unlock?
It's not like Washington's a great team either.
That was kind of my point to what we were talking about earlier. Every team we've played, the 3 teams that we've been close in are not great teams. The one contender we played, I don't even want to relive the memory.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying this goes back to saying this is more than a Russell Wilson problem. This is a George Payton problem. This is a team problem.
Yeah, and I want to be clear too. I don't think this is just a Russell Wilson problem.
Yeah, and what happens?
And Russell Wilson has improved over last year. But the thing is, we have way too many holes on this team that need to be filled, and
I think the question, I think the question to the following should be, if the Denver Broncos cannot get over this hump and they have a top 5 pick and they have a shot at a Drake May or even a Caleb Williams, how do we justify that the right move is
how do
not
you
to
justify
take a generational talent?
Right.
When you factor in the current talent on the roster. You factor in the potential money issues that we're going to be we're going to be approaching. They're there. It's -30 whether we like it or not. Well, we'll see what happens with the Gregory numbers because that will shift once he's moved either way. But
So,
how do we justify not tearing it down? And it can't just be because Russell Wilson was great 10 years ago.
right. And that is the thing. And I think a lot of people are living on that. Yeah, Russell Wilson was great 10 years ago, but Russell Wilson has been trending downwards, you
I
know,
mean, well, now he's kind of
and
trending
now
up.
he's,
He's a
yeah,
it's like a little dip
but
and roller
it's
coaster.
inconsistency,
And
you
that's
know, and it's not just Russ, like you said, it's the inconsistency with the offense. I don't think Russ really fits the offense that Sean
nobody's
Payton
doing anybody any
wants to
favors
run.
at this point. Let's be honest. I mean,
No,
Cortland Sutton put in the ground on the ball 2 times.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. This is more of just, can you justify building around?
A guy who's going to be going on 36 next year.
Yeah, and when you don't know if the talent's really there around
Right,
you.
because the decline can hit quick, you know. I mean, a guy can go from playing great to in 1 year. He's just like, I just don't have it
I
anymore.
just
You
don't
know?
want us to become the Indianapolis Colts holding on to the last little dripples of Phillip Rivers' career, doing the same thing with Russell Wilson.
Right, and I agree. So, all right, next, next guy on the hot seat, Vance Joseph. How
I
hot
mean,
is his seat?
I think it's warm. I think it's trending towards a season-end departure. I don't think it's on fire right now. Maybe it still could be salvaged. Um, I think that Vance Joseph and Sean Payton got a really nice introduction to that. This defense is not as talented as we thought they were. I think losing Dre Jones was a big issue. I think there's multiple issues. Losing Justin Simmons injury, losing Caden Stearns injury. Um, I think they had a good coach who found a way to protect Damari Mathis last year, and I think that's getting exposed. I mean, this, like I said, I think this, if Vance Joseph is not canned at the end of the season, which I highly doubt is the case at this point, that he won't be, his crutch will be that the roster talent saved his job.
Yeah, roster talent and a lot of injuries. I
Yeah.
mean, lots of injuries. Graham chimed in and said that Russ's QBR last week against the Bears was 133.5,
Yeah.
the best of the season. So that just shows you how bad the 3 games were before that. Because the 133.5 brings him up to a 53. So where was he before that? So, and you know what? I hope I'm wrong. I hope Russ,
We all
is
want it. We all
turning it
want it
around.
to get better.
I don't want this team to be a 4 and 13 team. But I just don't think this team is built to compete for a playoff position. I don't think this team is built to go beyond that. I had somebody tell me, and I'm not going to call this person out, but somebody told me that he thinks the Broncos can make it to the Super Bowl this year. So, and the only way I see that is maybe if the Broncos are buying tickets to the Super Bowl. This is not a Super Bowl roster. So, next hot seat person, and we've talked about him a lot, but I'll let you have your soapbox, Matt. You have 3 minutes.
I don't even need that, because
Okay.
this is not going to
Russell
be
Wilson.
a negative Nancy approach. This is going to be a positive spin on something that's
Russell
usually a
Wilson
negative turn.
is he on the hot seat?
Russell Wilson's hot seat's on freaking fire, and it's not because he's doing bad. It's because he's showcasing enough of improvement from last year. He's showing he can be efficient. He's showing that this is not a me problem. This is what the crud around me kind of problem. And it could be something that Sean Payton and the Broncos can capitalize on. Now, this is a big if. Don't hear me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's a big if. But if Russ can stay efficient and the Broncos still cannot get it together around him, they know that they have these cap issues. They know that they've lacked capital over the last few years. If he can remain efficient, what's stopping somebody like Atlanta from picking up that phone and saying, "Hey, we'll take that contract. We got the cap to do it. Hey, but you're gonna have to give us a little. You're gonna have to give a little to get a little. Remember the Brock Osweiler, Houston, Cleveland
Right.
swap deal? Russell Wilson's hell of a lot better than Brock Osweiler. This is a significantly different tier. But if Atlanta gives you a call and says, "Hey, we'll give you our second round pick. We're right in the middle of the pack. We know that we're closer than you are to being a franchise that can actually compete, a contender. We'll give you our second round pick. You throw us Russ. We'll eat that cap. You free up $17 million next year. You just give us a third or fourth to go with him." You'd be foolish not to do something like that.
Oh, I
You'd be
agree.
foolish.
I agree.
Because at the
You
end
know,
of the day,
it's
if
a
this
way to
team,
get
yeah,
out.
it's a way to get out. So if Russ can continue on this, I think his seat gets harder. If Russ continues to excel, but the rest of the team continues to fall, it only gets warmer. If there's a way out, you'll find a way out. I think that it makes sense to go that route. It does. It truly does. If you cannot put the team around the roster because of all of the circumstances, if we're looking at a rebuild of a roster, you said it, you hit the nail on the head. You don't rebuild a roster with the quarterback who's going on 36. And we don't know where this is truly going. Is he going to be a top 5 quarterback in the season? Is he going to bottom out to be a bottom 5? Is he going to be middle of the road? We don't truly know. But if there's a way out of the contract and a way to admit to a rebuild, and you have a direct line at a guy that you feel can be a franchise player, Caleb Williams, Drake May, whomever Sean Payton has pinpointed on his board as that differentiator at quarterback, and you have an avenue to it, and you have an avenue to get out of the contract, I think it's the only thing that makes sense. There is
So let me
ways.
let,
Yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this scenario then. Let's say we draft a QB. Let's say we end up in the top 10 in
Okay.
the draft, which I think is very realistic that that's probably where we're going to end up. Let's say we end up top 10. We draft a QB. Um, what is your thoughts of your thoughts of drafting this QB and letting him learn behind Russ for 1 or 2 years? I know
I
once we go past 2024, the cap becomes really dangerous, and we're really committed to Russ until after 2026.
Yeah, you are. As soon as you're if you take him on after the 5th day of the league year of 2024, if you do not restructure, which his contract is built so weird, it's going to be hard to restructure. Is there a way around it? Of course, there's a way. Money makes the world go round. There's a way to do it. I just don't know how much you can convert to make a salary bonus. Because if we look at his contract really quick, I mean, his signing bonus, his base salary is only $17 million. So, it's not like he's already he already has a $10 million signing bonus, $8 million in option. Maybe you can free up 17 and a half by converting that to a signing bonus. But that's still, I don't know. It's going to be hard, but what does that do for 2025? His contract is just built so awkward. I'd
Right.
have to really sit down and look
And
at
I
it.
think the thing is, I think the realistic option is if you're going into a rebuild, you can't rebuild around Russ. You're going to have to get rid of him and free up all this cap space.
You don't really free up any space. We are in a horrible position. This contract is a terrible contract by George Payton. It is horrid. It is no favors for the team. Zero. There is no protection for the team in this deal at all. None. So if we have to go this route, and going back to your question, it makes zero sense. If you take a quarterback in the top 10 and you keep Russell Wilson, I might as well just go lay down in the middle of the street and pray that something better happens to me, because it's a terrible decision. You're paying a quarterback $85 million over 2 years, and then you've added nothing to hopefully make him perform better. So at that point, if you are committing to Russell Wilson, if this is a commitment to Russell Wilson, you don't take a quarterback in the top 10. You just don't. You don't take a quarterback in
Okay.
the first. You take a player that you feel can make a difference to benefit, because then you're saying we're committed to Russell Wilson regardless if this blows up or not. Regardless if this, if it only gets worse, then it only makes this trade with Seattle look worse. It only makes things get worse for us. But anyways, it
Okay.
would be foolish to take it. Now, if you get let's say JJ McCarthy, he's kind of skyrocketed up the boards. Maybe he falls down into late round one. Maybe you move some capital around. Maybe this is where a Jerry Judy kind of thing happens, or if he's not traded, or maybe you finagle some stuff to move back up and get a 5th-year option. Maybe that makes more sense. But if you're picking inside the top 10, you have to pick a difference maker if you've committed to Russell Wilson.
Okay. All right. And maybe this topic will change. I'm sure this is the topic that we're going to talk about throughout the season. And depending on how the Broncos season goes, what we'll really feel Matt and I's feelings on this. All right. Let's talk Broncos and New York Jets. Jets are coming in. The Jets look good against Kansas City. Zach Wilson sort of showed a little bit of what Zach Wilson can be. My question to you, Matt, is our defense that can't get pressure on a quarterback? What do we have? 2 sacks in 4 games? Is that Graham? Could you look that up? How many sacks the Broncos defense has this season? I don't know it off the top of my head.
Well, I'm gonna just say on a whim, I think it's 8.5
sacks.
Yes,
and maybe that's what it is, averaging about 2 a game. So I don't know where I came up.
I believe Bonito has 2.5.
Yeah, we do have more.
Two of them have either 2.5 or 3.5. It's Bonito and Cooper. They both have more than 2. I know that.
Right, you're right. So, and we got Ty Berry chiming in saying Jets are going to win, no doubt about it. So,
and that's a Bronco fan. He's a Bronco fan.
Right. So,
yeah, Broncos are averaging 2 sacks per game per Graham.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Graham. So if we can't put pressure on a Zach Wilson consistently, without having to bring extra people,
Don't even get me started on this. We just made Justin Fields look like he's was an elite quarterback,
right?
Up until his quarter. That game is completely on Matt Eberflus. That game is all on.
It is. I mean, we could easily be sitting here as a 0-4 team.
No, absolutely. I mean, we could. It's not like we beat the Rocks. We came back based off a collapse that another team. The Bears decided to pull the Broncos week 2. That's what happened. And this one was more on the sides of, I don't know what Eberflus was thinking on that call. But anyways, that's beside the point. But if you can't put pressure on a quarterback, hell, you stick me back there.
Right.
And you don't give me no pressure. I have no one in my face. I'm going to be able to hit a 5-yard, 10-yard crosser all day. Dink and dunk it till you live it up.
That and if a guy can stand back there for 5 seconds, guess what? It's hard for a defensive back to cover somebody that long. Somebody's going to get open. So, and I'm not. So, what does the Bronco defense? We're going to start on that side.
It's simple.
What does the defense have to do to win this game?
It's easy. Something they haven't done all season, except for week 1. Control the run. They have to stop the run.
Right, and the Jets have some good running backs.
Yeah, we look at Brian Robinson tore us apart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll go. Yeah, it's Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. Brian Robinson, week 2, tore us apart. Week 3, you didn't matter what running back. They went to the 3rd string, somebody's never heard of, and damn near had 100 yards. Week 4, Khalil Herbert and Justin Fields were both moving around. If we cannot control the line of scrimmage, if the defensive line or if the front 7 cannot control the line of 7 and respect containment, they will destroy us. It is that simple.
Sorry, Graham just threw up a interesting stat. Broncos allow 8.9 yards per passing attempt, worst in the league.
That's almost a first down every pass.
Right. I mean, how do we stop this? I mean, because Zach Wilson has talent. Zach Wilson was not the number 2 pick in the draft just because.
And wait a minute.
Yes.
That's that. 8.9 per attempt. Let me remind you who that is. That's Jimmy G and the Raiders. That's Sam Howell and the Commanders. That's Tua and the Dolphins. That's acceptable. And that's Justin freaking Fields and the Bears who couldn't get 100 yards passing.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
And Jody came up here and said PSG said they figured it out at half.
Well, what's he supposed to say?
I mean, yeah.
You know?
Hey, they figured something out. I mean, they did. They were more successful defensively in the
Well,
second half.
and I
Sure.
think what they figured out too is that the Bears went into a shell, and stopped running the offense that they were running in the first half. That got them a 21-7 lead. They even came out and went up 28-7, and then Eberflus decided, "Oh, I'm going to sort of run this thing conservative live now."
And I'm going to be honest with you. Once again, we are talking about the Chicago Bears. We are not talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles.
And
this is the Chicago Bears we're talking
and speaking of Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, New York beat the Buffalo Bills. New York was in position to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not a bad football team. They have a good defense,
They have an elite defense that's struggling because they don't have. I mean, let's call it the kettle black. Zach Wilson is not a franchise quarterback. Is he a serviceable quarterback? Is he a Drew Lock type quarterback? Is he one of those guys that kind of got lost in translation? Yeah, probably. But he does have the physical attributes to be dangerous at times. We saw. I like to use Drew Lock, even though there's not really a comparison there for me. I mean, they both got the big arm, whatever, but they got the tools in their toolbox to be explosive at times, and it only takes one or two explosive plays against the underperforming team to change the outcome.
Right, and let me throw some more stats that Graham is putting in here. The Broncos allow the second most rushing yards per carry at 5.6 yards per carry. And we allow the fifth most rushing first downs at 35. But that's tied with the Jets. That is one weakness on the Jets defense. They are allowing 148 yards again.
And I want if Graham has a moment, I know we're getting close to having to wrap up. If you could do me a favor, if you could just look at the third down conversion rate or the time of possession for the Jets offense, because if this shows that the Jets defense is remaining on the field majority of the time, that makes a ton of sense.
Right.
If they are constantly on the field, they are going to get worn down, regardless of how elite you are. If you are on the field for majority of the game, you will eventually break. You will. You're tired. Those guys some of them are 300 pounds.
And Jody throws this up. The Bears who just put up 40. They put up 40 against the Washington Commanders.
A team that
it's not like they were playing the Detroit Lions, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that we should. All we heard from local media, the Raiders coin flip, Commanders guaranteed win. The Bears should have been a dominating win. We should have been competitive with the Dolphins, but we've fallen short of those predictions time and time again, unfortunately. Yeah. Now, was the Bears the get right game? And that's the question we have to ask.
And I hope it is. I mean, and we'll tell this weekend, I want to ask you something because this is running around in the media now because I know we're running up on an hour. So
okay, here we go. Look, this is exactly what my point right here to the Jets. Jets third down conversion rate ranks 32nd with only 26.5%. That is why that run game is effective against the Jets.
Right.
They are on the field all the dang time. That's the problem. We know that's a problem. We've seen our defense struggle with it in situational football all last year.
A lot of Jets players are coming out and saying they have Hackett's back. This is a revenge game. Do you think that really plays in, or can that motivate a team?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we never made it to the professional or collegiate level, but I mean, when your coach is feeling it and you're right there, you're vibing around your coach and you want to do this for that coaching staff because they deserve it, this and that, it brings a different mentality to the game. That doesn't mean you're always going to win. You're not going to make mental mistakes. Sometimes that pride and excitement can get in the way of success. It's completely possible. But right now, if you were to look at today and say, we look at Broncos, we look at Jets, who wants this win more? It's very apparent who wants it more.
Right. It is very apparent. So, all right, offense really quick. What does the offense have to do to win this thing? What's the key? Do we got to run the ball? What do we need to do? Or just score points no matter what?
it's just consistency. Do what you find out what's working for you, and whatever in your game plan is working, and do it consistently. Don't do this fluctuation thing where we are changing it up constantly, or this or that. Find what works and do it until it doesn't. Because if we do that, we'll win these games. They won't be as close. Russell Wilson is showing, and I'm going to be all on Russ's back for this. I'm going to pat him on the back. Russ is showing that if you can get him flowing and you can get him to be in cruise control with the entire team, the offense can put up points. The offense can be to a dangerous level. But the thing about it is they can't do it when they're down 28-7. They can't get it, and then they can't go up 31 to, what was it, 28-3 or whatever it was,
Right.
and then disappear. Do what you did and leave it there for the full game, and then we're talking about a different football team. We're talking about a team that is a fringe contender.
We need a team that will keep this defense off the field.
Yeah, it's apparent right there. That's a problem.
So yeah, keep our defense off the field. All right, Matt. I thought you were going to go to 4-0 last week. It was looking like
I should have. Damn you,
Yeah,
Matt. Damn it, Matt Eberflus.
Yep. So I'm
Just
sitting
kidding.
at
I don't want
I'm
the
sitting at
Broncos to
1
lose.
and I'm sitting at 1-3. So I've picked the Broncos all 4 weeks. Matt's picked the opponent all 4 weeks. We're gonna pick. You lost last week, so you get to go first today.
Oh, that's easy.
We're who's winning the game and what's the score, Matt?
In a heartbreaker, New York Jets 21-20.
Wow. And you know what? This is my first time picking against the Broncos, but I just think this Jets secondary and their defense is too good, you know, for us to come back if we get down. And I'm going to say the Jets 27. Besides, our secondary is a disaster right now. So Jets 27, the Broncos, I'm going to say 21. So we have a chance to win at the end, but we can't get it done, is my pick. But I will be there at Empower Field cheering on the Broncos.
Oh yeah, you'll be there this week.
So yep. So hopefully I'll be there. Good luck, charm, and we can win our first home game of the season. We need to return to dominance and win these home games. You know, we're 0-2 in our own stadium this year.
I'm tired of losing. I don't care where we win at this point. I just want wins, man. No one wants the Broncos to lose, but
And Jody throws this up there and says you have picked against Broncos every game, and he's 3-1, Jody. So
I mean, yeah,
you can't flaw what he's doing. He was almost a perfect 4-0 if it, like you said, if it wasn't for Matt Eberflus, you know, and his boneheaded decision, like he was Brandon Staley or something like that, you know. So
yeah. But anyways, that's where it's at, guys. Well, you know, Dave, while we predicted a negative outcome, we'll have to see who's right, who's wrong. Maybe we're both wrong and we're eating some crow next week.
And I hope we are, you know, I hope we do. And then we got a tough one on a short week going into Kansas City Thursday night.
So we'll do a breakdown of that one next week. We didn't want to jam too much in 2 games into one show. So we'll do a little bit more of a recap next Friday on that show. But anyways, guys.
So then just go ahead and make your prediction for the Kansas City game, Matt.
Okay,
we'll give them a 2 for
fine, real quick. Kansas City 31, Denver 24.
And I'm gonna go Kansas City 20. I'm gonna say 34, Denver 13.
Oh Jesus, yeah, that's great. Nasty.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be almost another Miami Dolphins type game.
All right, well, let's hope not. We've been negative.
I hope not either. So
let's say next time you see us, maybe we're 2-0. Well, you guys are 2-0 predicting the Broncos for the next 2 weeks, and we're 0-2 eating crow next Friday.
Except for Ty Berry, he has also said.
Oh yeah, Ty's going with
Broncos lose the next 2. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, it's been real. It's been fun.
It has been fun. Hey, thanks, Jody, Kurt, Kenny,
Ty,
everybody else. You know, Ty, thanks for chiming in. You guys are what makes the show a little more fun. You give us a little bit of fire, you know, and things. So I hope everybody liked the new format where we're not just talking about a game, an upcoming game for 60 minutes, where we're throwing in different segments. So if there's something you guys want to see us do, let us know. We'll do that. So, but we really thank you guys for tuning in. We're a new platform. Let your friends know about us. Hey, start inviting people. We want to grow this thing. We want to become a huge Bronco outlet. CSC will not only cover Broncos. We got Avalanche coverage starting next week with Scott Cole. We have Nuggets coverage that's going to be starting up soon. We have some things in the work that are going to make us stand out as a platform.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like Dave said, if you enjoyed what you saw today, you like chatting with us, send us comments, send us questions. If you're interested in joining a CSC team, please reach out to one of us and we can sit down and have that conversation to get you possibly on one of our shows as a guest, maybe a long-term stay as a host. We can see. Let's make the magic happen, as they say. But it's been a great time having you guys here today. You could check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and now YouTube. Colorado Sports Connection. Find us. We'll always be there to chat with you. Send us questions, comments, whatever you want. But we're just excited to have this platform, as Dave said. And while we predicted some negative outcomes, let's hope next week when we see you, we're talking some Broncos victories. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.